welcome everyone. This session is for giving you few more points based on the concept of memory and forgetting and types of memory. The term memory implies placement of information in our brain. Placement of information in our brain is known as memory. The term memory and remembering both are same. Remember, the term memory and remembering are same. Ability for storing information, ability for placing information. In short, memory stands ability for the reproduction of what has already been learned, whereas inability for reproduction of what has already been learned is known as forgetting. Ability for the reproduction of learned material is memory. Inability for the reproduction of already learned material is known as forgetting. Remembering and memory both are same. Then we have to discuss types of memory. Types of memory. Types of memory. We can start with sensory memory. Please note, sensory memory. Information captured by sense organs. Is known as sensory memory. Information captured by our sense organs is known as sensory memory. Basically, that can be classified into two categories. There are two types of sensory memory. They are iconic memory and echoic memory. Then what do you mean by iconic memory? Holding of visual images in our memory is known as iconic memory. Holding of visual images is known as iconic memory. Holding of onto sound is known as echoic memory. Otherwise, we can say holding of auditory images in our brain is known as echoic memory. So we start with types of memory. Number one is sensory memory. The term sensory memory implies information captured by our sense organs. They are classified into iconic memory and echoic memory. They are classified into iconic memory and echoic memory. Iconic memory stands for visual images and echoic memory stands for onto sounds, or otherwise we can say auditory images. Visual images stands for iconic memory, auditory images stands for echoic memory. There is a memory store in our brain. The term memory store implies the capacity of the brain that records the learned information through our sensory receptors. The capacity of the brain that records the learned information through the sensory receptors is known as memory store. Whereas sensory register is a brief holding point of sensory information. Sensory register is a brief holding point for sensory information. So listen to me, types of memory. Sensory memory, that means receiving sensory inputs. That can be classified into iconic memory and echoic memory. The iconic memory means holding visual images. Echoic memory means holding auditory images. Sensory memory contains all the information from the environment captured by the sense organs. They are classified into iconic and echoic memory. Our brain has got two important aspects. One is called sensory register and other one is sensory store. The first one, that is sensory register, implies brief holding of sensory information. Brief holding of sensory information is known as sensory register. Then capacity to record sensory information is known as sensory store. Sensory store. The second most important types of memory, that is short-term memory. Number two, that is short-term memory. In short, it is known as STM. And long-term memory, that is LTM. So we can classify the concept of memory into another two categories. Short-term memory and long-term memory. Short-term memory, in short, it is known as STM. Long-term memory, in short, it is known as LTM. Short-term memory, that is STM. Long-term memory, that is LTM. And what about the basic difference? Number one, short-term memory, capacity for storing information. Around 20 seconds. Capacity for storing information for a short period is known as short-term memory, and capacity for storing information for a long period is known as long-term memory, otherwise LTM. Capacity for storing information in our memory store approximately for 20 seconds, and this is what is known as short-term memory. But whereas capacity for storing information in our memory store for a lengthy period, for a longer period, is known as long-term memory. So memory can be classified into short-term memory, STM, and the second one is long-term memory, that is LTM. And the next one, that is episodic memory. You please note episodic memory. The term episodic memory stands for the ability or capacity for storing information based on certain episodes or events in one's own life. So episodic memory stands for the ability for storing information based on particular episode or events in one's own life. That particular part is known as episodic memory. And the next is semantic memory. Semantic memory. The next memory is considered to be semantic memory. And semantic memory stands for ability for storing knowledge based on facts, theories, and concept. Storing information based on facts, theories, and concepts stands for semantic memory. Storing information about facts, information about theories, and concepts in our memory store is known as semantic memory. So I would like to repeat, episodic memory is considered to be the ability for storing information based on particular events or episode in one's own life, whereas semantic memory is the ability for storing information regarding facts, theories, and concepts in our memory store. that is photographic memory. And this photographic memory stands for the ability for remembering particular scene. Ability for remembering particular scene is known as photographic memory. Ability for remembering particular scene is known as photographic memory. Habit memory. And habit memory stands for the ability for remembering particular items by means of frequent practicing. So you are remembering by means of frequent practicing is known as habit memory. And the next one, that is pure memory. Pure memory. And pure memory stands for the ability for remembering certain information based on association strategy. If you are remembering particular item by means of an association strategy, and that ability stands for pure memory. Habit memory by means of frequent practicing, and pure memory by means of association. Here photographic memory stands for ability for remembering particular scene. And the next one, that is working memory. So if you are remembering the information based on particular cognitive task is known as working memory. Please note, the ability for remembering knowledge based on certain cognitive tasks is known as working memory. These are the most important types of memory. I would like to repeat. Sensory memory, short-term memory, long-term memory, episodic memory, photographic memory, then habit memory, pure memory, and the last one, working memory. So these are the types of memory. Memory and remembering, these are same. Memory and remembering are same. When we talk about the types of memory, we have long-term memory, short-term memory, photographic memory, habit memory, pure memory, working memory, sensory memory. Sensory memory that can be classified into iconic memory, echoic memory. Iconic memory and echoic memory.